Okay, 1 second. Okay. All right, we're live. Okay. Sounds good on Facebook, app, YouTube. Good. All right. Very good to know. TikTok, let me know if you guys could hear me. Okay, we're going to start in about 30 seconds. Let's see. I know we're a little early, but okay, let's get started. Okay. Very good. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here on our Stump the Rabbi Shiur Torah Wednesday night. 5 years, Baruch Hashem, and running, and Be'ezrat Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Tonight's shiur is going to be a special shiur that I know that many of you have asked me questions about this topic. Many of you have asked me to do shiurim about this topic. And because of the topic at hand, this shiur is going to have also, because of the schut of the shiur, is also, I wanted to go to the special merit and success of our dear supporters that really made major sacrifices, not just recently in the most recent Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur campaign, but also throughout the years. Diana Acosta, Dan Dvo, Shimshon ben Levin, Moshe ben Irina and his dear wife Liora bat Liel, Faye Ruby bat Alta Bracha, Yona ben Avraham, Marina Mazel bat Yelena Lea, Tzvi ben Shoshana Rezel, Yecheskel ben Chaya Sarah, Tabea Lucer bat Heidi, Jonathan ben Helen Carroll, and the Podliger family. May Hashem bless each and every single one of you, and may the schut of this shiur bring you extraordinary success in all of your financial dealings and all of your businesses, and even those of you that have already told me that you've received miracles already. Since the most recent Rosh Hashanah, Baruch Hashem, may these miracles that you've seen seem small in comparison to the miracles that you'll see for the rest of this year and BeEzrat Hashem for the rest of your lives. And we certainly appreciate your support in the past and BeEzrat Hashem in the current and the future. Also, this shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema for Rabbi Ephraim and Atzlacha Rabba for Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Avi Mori David ben Nesria, Imi Morati Doris bat Jora, Sarah bat Levana, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahides that continue to support the organization, continue to help us do all the wonderful things that the organization is doing. For those of you that are not aware, we recently started 2 major projects, 2 major channels. One of them is the BH Kids channel, which, Baruch Hashem, many people are telling me that their kids absolutely love it. We just released many lectures. Now we started with animated films, and BeEzrat Hashem, this will continue to grow. We also started a tshuva music channel, another way to reach your hearts, another way to reach to the hearts of Am Yisrael through the divrei Torah that we've learned, through the Torah that we've taught. So this channel already released a couple of songs, and there's many more already in the process, and BeEzrat Hashem will be released literally in the coming weeks, if not sooner. So tshuva music you could also subscribe to. Lastly, the AI Rabbi app continues to get more and more compliments. And for those of you that still haven't subscribed to the AI Rabbi app, not only are you missing out, but you're missing out big time, because there's simply the answers to all of your questions there. And right now, just to give you guys a little bit of motivation, anyone that subscribes tonight, between now and let's just say tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we'll get one of these cups that I really like, free. We'll see that you subscribed, and BeEzrat HaShem, we will obviously paid subscribers, not just a free trial. We'll reach out to you to get your address and information and send you one of these free cups as a gift. The reality is you should send us a gift after you see it, and you'll know why once you actually try it out. But the point being is, we really want people to try this thing out, because the ones that have already seen it, the ones that already have used it, literally have told me this not only has changed their lives and has changed their learning and has changed just simply their day-to-day perspective, but they literally believe it's a must-have app for every single Jew out there. And I've heard this from multiple people. So the AI Rabbi, you can go to airabbi.org to download the app, whether it's iOS or Android, and BeEzrat HaShem, you'll succeed in doing so. Also, the Kiruv store still hasn't included this amazing item, the Asher Yatzar poster that we discussed last night. But like I told you guys, anyone that watches my lectures and orders at least one box of books to distribute in your community will also get one of these very expensive but extraordinarily important boxes of Asher Yatzar posters to distribute in the community, to put in a kosher market, synagogue, anywhere that there is a lot of Jews coming in that would appreciate these really beautiful posters that have the Asher Yatzar blessing on it, that you could put on the wall outside of your bathrooms, whether it's Nusach Sephardi or Nusach Ashkenaz. Both of them are on this very high quality poster, Baruch Hashem. So with that being said, we have, Baruch Hashem, in front of us an extraordinary lecture that I can assure you many of you are going to appreciate, because business at hand. People love business. And of course, we have to do business. Everyone has to do some form of business or another in order to pay for the bills, in order to take care of their needs. And I think that one of the things that we'll see from this parasha is how profound the wisdom of the sages truly is. Now, in Parashat Chayei Sarah, of course, we've learned over the years, at least multiple times, this parasha and different aspects of it. We could literally do, a shiur a day for the rest of our lives and still not finish all of the teachings that you can learn from each parasha, needless to say, Parashat Chayei Sarah. But tonight we're going to focus on one particular thing, which is business. Now, Parashat Chayei Sarah starts off after the Akedah, after Avraham Avinu passed the extraordinary test of the Akedah, of being willing to, and nearly sacrificing his son, killing his son. And he comes home only to find that there's another huge test where, in the world of Avraham, I don't know which one was bigger, which one was smaller. It's irrelevant to us. It's simply incomprehensible. He comes back after an extraordinary test. Instead of what we would expect, like a surprise party, some type of celebration, Avraham Avinu comes home to find that his very dear wife for over 100 years, Sarah Imenu, has left this world, has died. And he now has to bury her. This is something that no one wants to ever deal with, but the reality is, everyone dies at some point or another. Sarah Imenu was a tzadikah, kedusha, lived 127 years. That were complete years, fully of righteousness. She was a prophet that was even greater than Avraham Avinu, her husband. And Avraham Avinu wants to make sure that he buries her in a very special place. And few know about the secrets of the cave of Ma'arat Machpelah, including the current owner of it, which is Ephron the Hittite. Avraham goes, he's a famous celebrity, leader, king all over the world. Everyone knows who Avraham Avinu is, especially after he defeated the four kings, the four biggest armies in the world, single-handedly. Especially after Avraham Avinu has shown to literally have prophecy, has been called the man of God by those among him. Avraham Avinu comes to the Hittites and he says to them that he is looking for a piece of real estate. And of course, Ephron is the one that owns what Avraham Avinu has. And the deal begins. The deal begins. Now, what can we possibly learn from this deal? What can we learn from this deal? Rabotai Yekarim, Rabbi Tzadok of Lublin, Alav HaShalom, one of the great sages of Am Yisrael, writes in his commentary of Sefer Bamidbar, in the Darush Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, in the first section, Aleph, that in order for us to know the true essence of anything, we must learn about what the Torah says about that thing, whatever that topic is that you're looking for, the first time it's mentioned in the Torah. Once we review what the Torah says about it, before it, after it, during the verse, what the commentary by the sages say, there we will learn the essence of whatever subject we want. And the first time that the real estate business is mentioned in the Torah is in Parashat Chayei Sarah. Time of Adam HaRishon, when Cain killed Hevel, they were not fighting over who has a bigger house. The time of Noach, Hashem destroyed the world, there was no real estate to speak of. But here we see that Avraham Avinu is involved in a real estate transaction. Avraham wants to buy the cave of Machpelah from Ephron. But we see that Ephron is not someone that he appears to be. Initially, Avraham says to the people, to the leaders of the Hittite people, which Ephron is sitting among them, even though at this stage he was not a leader. But once Avraham was looking for him, the greatest man on earth is looking for Ephron, automatically the Hittite people said, oh, Avraham is looking for you. They gave him a position. They gave him a salary. They gave him honor. If Avraham Avinu is looking for you, you must be something. And Avraham is pleading with the people. And he's saying, I'm looking to bury my dead. If you would please speak to the owner of the cave of Machpelah. And of course, Ephron is there. People say, oh, you are the man of God. Of course we would help you. No one will withhold anything from you. And Ephron, of course, stands and says, Avraham, not to worry. Bury your dead, you can have it. As if he's giving Avraham Avinu the cave for free. But shortly thereafter, Ephron starts to add a few disclosures. You know, like somebody makes you lots of promises, tells you, listen, we can do this, A and B and C, and we can provide you this service and that service and this service and that service. And this is the price. Well, you could do all of that. If you could do all of that, sure, I'll buy all of it. Even though it may be expensive, even though it may be more than what I'm paying, But if you can do all of that, absolutely, I'm happy to do it. And then when you're ready to sign, and unfortunately many times after you sign, you're like, wait, what happened to that service B that you mentioned? And if we're already talking about service B, let's also talk about C and D. Because you mentioned it wasn't just A, you also had B, C, D. So where are those? Oh, well those are extra. What do you mean? When you talk to me about what you provide, you said that you could do A, B, C, D, and that's what I was paying for. And I asked you, can you do all of that? And you said yes. Yeah, but you didn't understand us. You didn't understand us. We meant that if you want to get those other things, you'll have to pay another 30% here, another 50% there, another 300% there. Well, it's a completely different contract. This was, unfortunately, Ephron. Ephron initially presents the deal as if he's giving the place for free. But then he says to Avraham, what's 400 zuz between friends? Which in reality everyone knows, including the Hittite people that are sitting there watching silently, as Ephron is trying to take every bit of money that Avraham Avinu has. He figures Avraham is rich. So, why shouldn't I be rich too? This is the socialist, communist mentality that many people today have, where they think that just because somebody else is rich, for whatever reason or another, they owe you something. So, here is the first place that real estate is mentioned. And we start seeing that the negotiation between Avraham and Ephron changes from it's free to what's 400 zuz between you and I, which in today's worth, in today's value is millions and millions of dollars, much more than the Cave of Machpelah was worth. Further, he tells them, listen, it's not just a cave, it's a field. Perhaps we'll explain why he even sold the field instead of just a cave, making it seem as if it's a better deal now. And other things. And from there we're going to learn how to do business. In real estate, or really otherwise. Avraham Avinu wants to buy the cave. But the first thing we see is that Ephron is trying to fool. And that's the first thing that one must realize, that if you're going to go into business, whether it be real estate or anything else, and you're going to look to buy something, you have the money or access to the money, know this: the seller will certainly try to fool you by giving you a price much higher than what it is, without having any shame. In fact, it's so much higher than what it really is. It's multiples beyond what you would even imagine, where you could expect going into a transaction that someone is going to try to take an extra few points here and there, an extra few percent here and there. No, we see from Ephron, he's not selling a land that's worth, 400 zuz here, a cave that's worth 400 zuz here for 410. He's rather selling something that's worth maybe 10 for 400. So the first thing we see, and we learn, according to the teachings of our sages, as Rabbi Tzadok Lublin says, is the first rule of business: expect the seller to overprice it. That's the first thing. Second, we see that Ephron initially is very kind. Avraham, you can have it for free. No problem. You are a man of God. And if you have some money, you're a prospective buyer, don't be surprised if all of a sudden everyone wants to be your friend and they ask you, where do you live? What do you do for fun? What do you do in the weekend? How many kids do you have? How did you succeed this far? And seem interested in your life. Do you need coffee? Don't be surprised. It's not because you are such a charming person. This is business. If they saw you in the middle of the street, falling over yourself, they most likely wouldn't stop to pick you up. But since you're a customer, since you're a prospective buyer, all of a sudden the fake kindness comes out. Again, this does not mean that they're bad people. This is necessary. You can't be nasty to people and expect them to buy something from you. But the same token, don't take that stuff to your head. Don't come home to your wife with a chip on your shoulder saying, yeah, listen, I went to the broker's office. I went to the car shop or whatever you went to go buy something. They know who I am. They know it. I wish you knew me as much as they know. Well, honey, how do they know who you are? Well, as soon as I came in, right away they stopped what they were doing. One of them was even on the phone. He hung up the phone right away. I think it was probably an important phone call. But he came to my attention right away. How are you doing? How do you like your coffee? I didn't even know I like coffee. They must have known. You know, with technology today, they must have known I'm coming. They must have known. And if that wasn't enough, before they even knew what I was looking for, they pointed to the fancy car that I've been eyeing a few times. I said, sir, we're not even looking to sell you anything. Why don't we have some fun today? Why don't we go for a nice joyride on this $300,000 car? I said, fine. They must know who I am. They don't know who you are. In fact, you don't even know who you are if you think that you saw something. But in the business world, fake kindness is expected. They'll even pretend to be your friend. They'll even pretend to care about what you're saying. That's what Ephron was doing. Why is this necessary? Because Ephron was preparing the next step, the bait and switch. Where initially Ephron offers or gives without even a request, here, it's yours, go bury your dead. As if it's free in front of everybody. But privately he says, what's 400 Jews between you and I? The bait and switch. But Ephron doesn't stop there. Ephron has been eyeing Avraham Avinu, along with the rest of his community that's been eyeing Avraham Avinu, counting his money. One of the most despicable things that people like to do. Talking about other people's money, or counting other people's money. How many people do you think go into Avraham Avinu's restaurant every day? I don't know, I think I saw maybe at least 100, 150 yesterday. Wow, 100, 150. Yeah, no, listen, he's got 4 openings. Sarah, she's a worldwide renowned chef. Everybody knows. It's a fancy place. They'll cook it fresh on the spot. Nothing is sitting there frozen. Everything is good. 100, 150. You sure? You're not exact? No, 100, 150. So he starts doing calculations in his head. He's got 100 people, let's say, coming into the restaurant every day. Makes, let's say, what? Each one is at least $300-400. The guy's making a ton of money every day. What employees does he have? He's got slaves. He doesn't have any. This guy's killing it. And imagine what he gets on the weekends. Imagine what he gets on the holidays. And not only that, By now, if he's got that kind of a business, then the real estate itself is appreciated in value. And he starts calculating all the money that Avraham has in his imagination. He has this and he has that, and this is what people do all the time. What does he do for a living? What difference does it make? He has a job. He has a respectable job. No, I want to know what he does. He's a lawyer. He's a doctor. He's a, plumber. He's an accountant. He's, a technician. What kind of doctor? Well, you sick? No, I don't know. Before I say yes to the shidduch, I wanted to know. What? Wait, you don't need a doctor. So what do you care what kind of doctor he is? No, I want to know. Oh, you're trying to size him up. You're trying to figure out how much money he makes, because if he's in family therapy and something that's like the local doctor that pretty much deals with colds and stuffy noses, then if he lives somewhere in your area of the woods, he probably makes $150,000. But if he is maybe one of these guys that looks at the X-ray machine all day, looks at all of these fancy pictures from the MRI for the CAT scan, then he's probably making about 4 or 5, maybe even 600,000. But hey, that's only if he works there. If he's the owner, he could be making over $1 million. Oh, and heaven help us if he's a spinal surgeon. Then he's making at least $1.5 million. Wait, are you marrying his wallet, his job, his boss, his customers, his financial statement, or the guy? This is what people do all day. They calculate other people's money constantly. What does he do? Where do you get the money for this car? This car is at least, $1,500 a month? Wait, how do you know? You saw his bills? You looked through his mail? No, I know cars. Wait, you have this car? No, I can't afford it. So why would you care how much it costs if you can't afford it? If you could only afford to pay $100 a month, why would you even bother to look at a car that's way out of your league? You know why? Because you like to measure things up. You want to look at this guy. Oh, this guy's driving an Aston Martin. Yeah, he can afford a few thousand a month. Oh, that guy? Nah, that guy's a Buick. That guy's a Hyundai. That guy's a Piker. Maybe $300-400. That guy, look at that guy. That guy has a sports car. You can't even finance those things. You have to buy them outright. You think he bought it secondhand? You think he bought it from a friend? Or what do you care? What do you care about these things? This is Ephron. Ephron has been measuring up Avraham Avinu. But in order to make the sale, Ephron has to seem nice, seem kind, seem like he cares. Because there's a bait and switch coming. After Ephron offers a free opportunity, all of a sudden he says, take the whole land with the cave on it. But did I ask you for the whole piece of land? Is that something that I asked for? No, all I asked for is the cave. I'm not interested in the land. I don't want the land. I just want the cave to bury my dead. That's all I want. Avraham didn't ask for the whole thing. Because the reality is, the cave itself was not really impressive. But it's a cave. You bury dead people. That's where they used to bury people back then. But Ephron didn't really care about that. He wanted to make a bigger transaction. He wanted to make it seem more presentable. And one of the reasons was his family was buried near the cave of Machpelah. He was buried in that land. Now, it wouldn't seem appropriate to sell the cave near the land of where your family is buried. I mean, that's not honor for you. So what is he going to do? No, we sold the whole thing. It was just a one-package deal. We had to sell it. There was no other offer. He didn't even want to buy the single cave. Ephron quickly, bait and switch, just like, unfortunately, has become standard in the world today, where you buy into one thing and you realize by the time you are getting close to finishing the transaction, whatever you were looking to buy is not even available, is not even possible, is not even working, but they always have something close. that happens to be more expensive. It happens to be inferior most of the times. But you've invested so much time and agony into getting to this point of the transaction. You're like, oh, fine, I'll get it. And in the real estate world, unfortunately, it's no different. You're going to the guy, tell him, listen, I'm interested. Fine, listen, we really are only looking to lease it, but if you want to buy it, you give me $3 million for it. $3 million? Yeah, well, listen, right now it's worth $2.5 million, but I know that if I hold on to it for 5 years, it'll go up to $3 million. So if you give me what it'll be worth in 5 years from now, I'll agree to sell it to you, as if he's doing you a favor. Wait a minute. If it's worth $2.5 million, why would I pay you what it could potentially be worth in the future? On what planet do you live in? The worst part is when you find out that even the price that he said it's worth, $2.5 million, is not even real. You're lucky if it's worth $1.2 million or $1.3 million. But that's all part of the game. It's all part of business. Fun, bait and switch, trying to fool. If you can't handle those first 2 steps, you're not going to succeed in life. Why? You're not going to be able to do any transactions. Wait, so I have to be willing to be fooled in order to do transactions? Not necessarily. But you need to know that they are trying to fool you. And you need to know that sometimes you'll have to allow them to win. The small ones, so you can win the big ones. Third thing, we see that once a fund offers the whole piece of land, everything, throws out his obnoxious price, Avraham Avinu knows that this is more than just a piece of real estate. This has to do with spirituality. This does not have the same types of rules as an investment property. He wants this. There's a special reason why he wants this particular property. It's not like if it's a synagogue where he can open it wherever he wants, or if it's an office building and he can open wherever he wants. It doesn't have to be this one particular location. He wants the Kiv Machpelah, that's where Adam HaRishon is buried. He wants this particular place, but he wants to make sure that a friend, a liar, who's pretending to be his friend, doesn't change his mind. So what does Avraham do? He closes quickly. Says, hey, what do you want, 400? Counts it on the spot. But not only counts the 400 zuz on the spot, but he does it publicly in front of all of the other people. He pays the full price up front in front of everyone in order to make sure that once Ephron sees how quickly he gets the money, he doesn't have second thoughts and starts thinking, maybe I should renege on this, maybe I could get more out of it, maybe I could get him 450, maybe 500. The worst thing you can do to someone, especially someone that's a shark that's looking to bite you, is accept their first offer. Worst thing you can do. Why? Immediately, their belief is that they could have gotten more. Avraham knows that Ephron, if they were one-on-one, he could go haggle. You know what? I didn't really mean it when I said 400. Maybe we should go 450, maybe 500. But in front of everybody, especially after everyone has said, including Ephron, you are the man of God, we honor you. Rabbi, he can't embarrass himself this way. So he has to close the deal. And Avraham knows this. So the third thing, fourth, is in real estate, if you want to have the edge, you have to have the ability to close the deal quickly. The more time you need to close the deal, the more likely that the deal is not going to happen. Now, up to here are not things that are overly sophisticated. But the next one is. It won't seem at first, but it is extremely deep. We see that Ephron is not just happy with a little bit, maybe take 50, 100, 200 out of this deal. No, he wants the whole thing. He wants 400. He throws in a bunch of unnecessary things, pieces of land. On top of that, he starts giving conditions. I'll sell it to you, but you're not allowed to bury anybody else here, he says to Avraham. Only one person. Wait, what do you mean? If I'm buying it, why do I have conditions? Like someone that I spoke to recently, so I'm looking into this building. Well, listen, if you're going to go into this building, it has to be a restaurant. I didn't ask you what business I want to go into. I asked you how much is the building? How much to rent? How much to buy? That's what I'm asking you for. I'm not asking you what business. I'm not asking you for business advice. No. The condition is it has to be a restaurant. It has to be some. Why? Or somebody else that I spoke to. Listen, everything sounds great, but you're not allowed to build a mikveh here. Why? Is there a problem with the ground? Is there a problem with the ceiling? What's the problem? No, we don't want a hole in the ground. Hole in the ground. Rabotai Yekarim. Now, if this was a goy that told me this, it really wouldn't mean anything. But when a Jew tells me he doesn't want a hole in the ground, that tells me that the Jew is closer to a goy than he realizes. And most likely, his mother didn't go to the mikveh because he doesn't realize the mikveh is not a hole in the ground. But needless to say, conditions. We see that Ephron is not happy with what he got, even though what he got is much worse of an offer than you can possibly imagine. Why? Why is this the case? Why is Ephron constantly looking for more? Why? The Midrash Rabbah on Parashat Chayei Sarah brings a verse in the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 22. And the wisest man, Shlomo HaMelech, says as follows: Nival leon ish ra'ain velo yeda ki cheser yevoenu. One who's overeager for wealth has evil eye. He doesn't know that loss will befall him. This, says the Midrash Rabbah, was said about 3 people. One of them being Ephron, who put an evil eye on the money of the tzaddik. Now, how is it that Ephron put an evil eye on the money of the tzaddik? Because he was counting his money. He was counting how much can Avraham really afford. If he could just said quickly, yes, to 400 zuz, maybe I can get 500. If he has a restaurant, how many people is he selling to a day? If he has this, if he has that, what's his salary cap? What's the salary this? How much do they make? How much the house? Did you buy? Did you rent? Is this a vacation property? What's the tuition cost? How much you pay for that car? What do they pay somebody in your position? All of these types of questions that have somehow become socially normal, even though they're completely obnoxious, abnormal, and rude. The Midrash says Ephron was doing the same thing. Why? Because he was overeager for wealth. What does it have to do with it? Nivhal lehon ish ra'ain. One that's overeager for wealth has an evil eye. Why? The Chachamim teach multiple things. First, one that's overeager for wealth tends to be stingy, like a miser, where he could have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the bank, in portfolios, and he has the money. But if you tell him, listen, to go to this restaurant with your wife and kids and the family, it's going to cost about $600-$700, about almost $100 a plate. What? $100? No. We'll eat at home. We'll make omelet. Omelet? I don't understand. You have the money. No. We don't need to spend that kind of money. Okay. Listen, sir, the car that you want to buy, it's going to cost you $50,000, $100,000. No. I'll continue riding my 25-year-old beat-up car that has no alternator and is missing a few wheels. I'll continue. I'll ride a horse. But I don't understand. You could afford it. It's not the money. Why are you such a miser? Why are you so stingy? No. It's okay. I don't want anything. Now, sometimes people that have money are generous, but with themselves. They'll buy themselves a nice watch. They'll buy themselves a nice vacation. They have no problem spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a vacation. But if you tell them, listen, why don't you help us feed poor people in Israel? You can spend $10,000, $20,000 on a vacation. Certainly you can spend, $10,000, $20,000 to feed a bunch of people that literally don't have money to eat. Yeah, maybe I'll send you something in the mail. I'll do it online. And you see that they make a transaction that literally the transaction costs from all of the merchant banks and the bookkeeping and the employees to log it into the system and the accountants and everything else almost are as much as the donation. Why is this the case? Because Rabotai Karim, the more somebody is eager for wealth, the more addicted they become to money, the more stingy they can become. And the Mitzudot says someone that's not generous harms himself because lack of generosity, meaning stinginess, is the polar opposite of what Hashem is. Hashem only gives. And when someone acts exactly the opposite of what Hashem is, and they're stingy, that person hurts himself because he incurs Hashem's disfavor. And the Ralbag says, someone that's a miser has such behavior that causes not only he to not necessarily be connected to anyone, but actually people can't stand him. And people respond to him in the same way he behaves. With other people, they're generous. With other people, they're kind. But with him, nobody likes him. Why? Because the world is a reflection of you. But more to our particular point with Ifon and in business is as follows. There are people that Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed them with money. They have properties, not just their house. They may have a building. They may have a few houses. They rent out. They have money in the bank. They have a portfolio. They have Baruch Hashem. But when it comes to donations, to support the poor, to support the world of Torah, it's very, very difficult for them. Why? Because they're so eager to gain wealth, says the Gemara in Masechet Ketubot, page 66b. They're hesitant to give tzedakah. They're hesitant to give charity because they're afraid that if they give charity, if they write a check for 5, 10, 20, 30,000, which they could easily afford without disturbing their net worth, without missing any meals, if they write a check that's substantial, that you could actually do something with, it'll diminish their capital. But what they don't realize, says the Gemara, is that the fact that they do not give the appropriate amount of tzedakah, the appropriate amount of maaser, causes HaKadosh Baruch Hu to not give them even more. Because when he is so eager to gain wealth and is hesitant to give charity, he doesn't realize that HaShem increases the wealth of those who give charity. And the fact that you didn't give means that you also lost out on the extra gifts Hashem wanted to give you. And if that's not bad enough, the person that is over eager for wealth, where, we got to make money, we got to do it, we got to do this, we got to do that, they develop an ayn hara. An ayn hara, says the Yefet Toar, has 3 connotations. 1, being a stingy person. Doesn't care about anybody else. Cares about himself. He's willing to buy himself some item that he doesn't even need for a few thousand. He's willing to buy himself whatever he wants. But to help others, if he does it all, it's very, very minimal. It's even hard for him to give somebody a ride to work or ride to the doctor. It's so difficult for him or for her to help. The second type of evil eye causes the person to have envy. Envy of other people that have more. Even if they don't really have more, they just look like they have more. Or because they actually have more. So he has his job, he makes a good living, he has a few dollars, but he's not happy with it. He's like Haman, that had billions of dollars, but it was all worthless in his eyes, Haman said in the Megillat Esther, because there's one Jew named Mordechai that's not bowing to me. So the guy, he makes $100,000, $200,000, plenty of money for what he needs. He has a few 100,000 or even more, millions in the bank. But he can't spend a single day without looking at somebody that has more than him. Perhaps his boss. Hey, I can't believe it. I do all the work here. Why does he make all the money? I could do what he's doing. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting in his office, talking on the phone all day. I'm doing all the work. That type of ungrateful, disgusting attitude is very common today. People forget that they're employees and they think the boss doesn't do anything. So why does he get all the money? They don't realize the boss didn't always sit there and drink coffee all day. And perhaps the boss is not necessarily only drinking coffee. It just looks like to you that's what he's doing. But they start calculating, wait, listen, I don't understand. The company made $5 million last year. I brought in sales of at least 50% of that. Why shouldn't I make $2 million? Why shouldn't I make $1 million? Because, you idiot, there's expenses. There's bills. There's salaries. There's the cost of goods. There's the cost of doing business. But he is so envious of his boss, or he's envious of a coworker that makes more than him, or he's envious of somebody he doesn't even know, which is the worst. Somebody that lives in his community that has a big house and is known as somebody that has a lot of money, or somebody that he saw in the media or on the internet. Look, all these people, look how much money they're making, man. Wow, this guy makes at least 20 million a year. That guy makes 50 million a year. That guy is a billionaire. This guy just joined the Forbes 500. This guy is the 500. What do you care? The lowest form of conversation is talking about other people's money. But he does it every single day, not because he admires anyone. Rather, it's because he envies them. He envies other people's stuff, which means that evil eye that he has is such a evil that it causes suffering to himself, not just to others. Because when you are looking at other people's things and they have something else that you don't have, what does that do? It not only causes the envy, the jealousy that's just gross, but worse, it makes you unhappy with whatever you have. You could have just gotten a brand new car, a brand new house, a brand new wife, a brand new kid, a brand new job, brand new something. But the second you looked at that Elon Musk guy on TV that keeps making more billions and inventions and so on, and you're unhappy with the car that you have. You're unhappy with the house that you have. You're unhappy with the watch that you have, with the kid that you have, with the wife that you have. The worst thing that a person can do to himself is poisoning himself with other people's information. When you look in other people and they made money and they did this and they did that, not only is that a complete waste of time and a destruction of brain cells, but worse yet, it makes you unhappy about whatever it is that you have. It's like you're eating the sandwich that your dear wife made for you, or maybe your mom made for you. And this has always been your favorite sandwich. And every day you eat it and you're hungry and wow, this is the best. Wow, this is great, this is great, this is great. And then one day you notice a guy coming in and he has a steak in front of him with all types of side dishes. And guess what happens? At that moment, you don't no longer have an appetite for your sandwich. Not because you're not hungry, but because you're eating your heart from jealousy and envy by looking at his stuff. Your wife becomes ugly after you look at his wife. Your house becomes unlivable when you look at his house. Your life becomes worthless when you look at pictures of the illusions of his life. And the evil eye causes a person literally to damage everything around him, including himself. But that's not it. The evil eye, Rabotai, makes a person blinded to reality and how they impact other people. Meaning that when a person accustoms themselves to look at other people's stuff with envy, with jealousy, they're not going to admit they're jealous. They're not going to admit they're envying. They're just saying, look, I just want to see. I just want to see. I just want to see this. I just want to see that. I just want to see. I just want to see. And guess what? They don't realize that when they're looking at somebody else's wife, they're hurting their wife. They're hurting their kids. When they're looking at other companies doing well, they're hurting their company. They're hurting the morale of their coworkers. Several times I've suffered from different types of employees that, Baruch Hashem, none of them have lasted. And one of the main reasons why is because they would tell me, listen, I can make more money somewhere else. In 90% of the cases this has happened. I told them, if you can make more money somewhere else, good, go somewhere else. In fact, I'm very happy for you. I want you to make more money. I want you to do better. Thank you very much for what you've done. Here, we appreciate you. Good luck to you. They didn't expect that response. They thought that if they tell me that they can make more money somewhere else, I'm going to fall for the trap and give them more. This type of mentality is poisonous for a company. Why? You start telling people, listen, I can make more money somewhere else. You start planting the idea for somebody else to think, maybe I can make more money somewhere else. Maybe this, maybe that. A person that's envious, a person that has an evil eye does not realize that his entire midot system, his entire character trait system is all defunct. It's literally, they become a hazard. They damage everyone around them. Their wife and kids can't stand them. Why? Because he doesn't realize that his stinginess, despite having money, is causing them not to enjoy Shabbat. Because he still wants to eat last week's challah. He's forcing everyone to eat Shabbat food already on Thursday, but of the following week. He's limiting everyone to only 2 salads. His stinginess makes them hate Shabbat, even though it has nothing to do with Shabbat. It makes them hate being who they are because of his disgusting behavior. A person that has an evil eye literally becomes a hazard to every single person around them because they are unhappy with their share and they're completely oblivious of the fact that their expression of themselves, them sharing their unhappiness with others, causes others to be unhappy also. Either because those people also start questioning what they have, or because those people worked really hard to give you what you have. She worked hard to cook for you. She worked hard to clean for you. She worked hard to raise your kids. The company worked hard to give you a desk and a chair. The company worked hard to give you all the different tools that helped you become better at whatever it is that you do. But you saying that you can get something better somewhere else completely ignores that. No, it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. I'm just saying I could get something better. Yeah, it's nothing personal, but you're a wicked person. You're evil. Now, in the case of Ephron, how do we see this overeager for wealth having an evil eye play out? How do we see this? See, Rabotai Karim, what we quickly forget in this story as the negotiation is happening is that Sarai Imenu is dead. She's on the floor. She's on the floor. She's covered. But Ephron doesn't care. He's too busy trying to make money. The greed is at such a high level, he completely cares less that somebody has died. In fact, that brings us to the next point of how in the world of business, you're going to meet a lot of insensitive people. In fact, you'll even meet people that have built their business taking advantage of people that are destitute. Whether it's hospitals, lawyers, doctors, or even Chevra Kadisha sometimes, where you have to bury somebody and they'll tell you that you have to raise $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 just to bury somebody. I don't understand. Are you still feeding him? Why does it cost so much money? And every year it keeps going higher. You literally have to be a millionaire to die. It's more expensive to die than to live. But unfortunately, Rabotai, this is also in the business world, in a much worse manner. As soon as the lawyer finds out you have a case, he doesn't really tell you the truth. He tells you what you want to hear. You could win. Oh, great. I'm glad I can win. But it's going to cost you $25,000. I don't understand. They're only suing me for $75,000. Why do I have to pay $25,000? Well, listen, who says they're going to win $75,000? Because you know, and he starts telling you all types of things that don't really make sense, but somehow he puts you in a position where you're so scared. You're like, okay. Listen, can I make payments? I don't have the $25,000. Yeah, I'll do it for you because I want to help you. In reality, 2 seconds after you send him the money, he's already talking to the other side to do the easiest thing in the world. What? Settle. Listen, they'll settle with you. You'll have to pay them half the money, $35,000, but you won't have to go to court and it's all good. Well, I don't understand. I paid you $25,000. I paid them $35,000. So I pretty much lost a lawsuit, but I didn't lose. That's the situation. In the world of business, Rabotai Karim, you're going to meet many insensitive people. If you are a sensitive person, do not go into business. Why? You're not going to make it. You're going to get hurt, offended. You're not going to survive the deal. But the truth is that you have to overcome those sensitivities if you want to survive in the world. People that are overly sensitive live very miserable lives. We see how insensitive Ephron is, but we also see how insensitive the Hittite people are. Because they're watching Ephron overprice Avraham, and they sat there quietly because they figured that Ephron is no different than them. In fact, they had the same evil eye as Ephron. Now they looked not only at Avraham's evil in an evil eye, measuring him. Now they started looking at how can we get this money out of Ephron's pocket. They were also doing the measuring and the accounting of other people's money. Now, another thing that we learned from Avraham in this business deal is that when Ephron initially pretends like he wants to give Avraham a gift, Avraham rejects it. Avraham rejects the gift. He says, no, I'll pay for it full price. Whatever it costs, I'll pay for it. Why? Because the Torah says, Soneh matanot yichyeh. Someone that hates gifts will live. Because gifts are much more expensive than something you buy. Somebody gives you gifts, typically, when it's time for you to return, it's much more expensive. Much more expensive. Somebody did you a favor. When they come back for a favor, you'll see that it's much more than what they did for you. Avraham Avinu doesn't want any gifts. In fact, the Zohar Kadosh says, when it comes to mitzvot, even if you have the opportunity to do a mitzvah for free, like distribute the Kiruv cards, the Sheyitzar cards, or to USBs, or books, or to share lectures, or to whatever it is that you can do for free. You should still get some money together and donate and pay. Why? Because any time a mitzvah is free, it gives the Satan some bit of ownership in that mitzvah, allowing him to distract you, allowing him to destroy, allowing him to do a lot of different things that you don't want. So the Zohar Kadosh says any mitzvah that is given for free gives a part of itself to the Sitra Achra. And therefore a person should be careful that even if someone gives them a mitzvah for free, they should give them something. So the Yetzer Hara grabs onto the money instead of grabbing onto the mitzvah. The next thing that we learn from Avraham Avinu's negotiations here is that after he agrees, 400 Jews, I'll pay you. Ephron is not happy with that. He's not happy with it. But you got what you wanted. You asked for 400 for something he didn't even ask for, more than the cave. He gave you even that. What do you want? No, I want to give you conditions. What? Yeah, I want to give you conditions. Listen, you're going to use this land only to bury one person. After that, you have to do farming. You have to do all crops. You can't use this land for other things. And Avraham realizes, says the Malbim, that these conditions are something he has to argue against. He can't just deal with, I'm only burying one. Listen, I'm buying this so I can do whatever I want with it. Not to deal with, if I'm paying for it, I'm paying for freedom. I'm not paying for conditions. So in the business world, Rabotai, you're going to have to realize that one of the most important parts of the deal is not like what most people think, the price you'll pay the rent, the price you'll pay the lease, or the price, the purchase price, the sale price. Certainly that's important, but even more important than that is the conditions. What are the conditions that are attached to this price? If the conditions are unfair, then so is the price. And if you're not willing to deal with the conditions, don't think that you'll be able to fool this person somehow, because it'll end up costing you a lot more in the long run. So you have to know that there's certain conditions you have to compromise with, there's certain conditions you have to deal with, there's certain conditions you have to fight. We see that Ephron achieves extraordinary prestige as a result of this transaction. Also something that we see in business. But yet, we are dumbfounded when we see that despite the fact that he has pretended to be kind, switched the offer, overpriced the asset, included something that wasn't asked for, gave conditions insensitive to the actual reality that the Sarai Imenu is dead, achieved prestige and position. Now he makes a bunch of money just from simply this, as a result of this. Now with the new job that he has, he still wants to take more and more advantage. Why? Why does he want more? Says the Midrash Rabbah in Parashat Mishpatim, someone that's over eager for wealth has an evil eye, where this was said about Ephron, because no matter what he got, it would never be enough. Even when he got good. And the same is said, says the Midrash, about somebody that does not give maaser, somebody that does not give the tithe, 10% of what they make, in order to show HaShem that they know that He gave them 100%, and therefore they're going to use 10% of that to publicize His name, to support Torah, to support Kiruv, to support Avrechim. The Midrash says this same awful verse is said about people that do not give maaser properly, because they are just like Ephron, who got so much but is reluctant to give, and in fact gives back evil. And if that wasn't enough, the Midrash Tanchuma in Parashat Behar in Siman Aleph says that there are three people that this verse is written about. This verse of Nivhal le'on ish ra'ain, one who is over eager for wealth, has an evil eye. The first one is Ephron, for all the reasons we said. The second one is Cain, who wasn't happy with only having one wife because he was jealous of his brother Abel that had two wives, so he killed him. And the third one is people in the merchant cash advance business. Someone who lends money with interest. Those are the people that the Torah says are over eager for wealth and thereby have an evil eye and do not realize that loss will befall them. Ask the Midrash. Ephron we understand. Cain we understand. But why is someone that lends money with interest one of the people that is considered this evil? Answers the Midrash. Why does he lend money with interest? It's because he's over eager for wealth. And therefore, because of his over eagerness to wealth, a curse is put upon his assets. And that's why the rest of the verse says, and he doesn't know the loss will befall him. When he is doing what he's doing and lending money to people with interest, he is biting them, he is hurting them, but he doesn't care that he's hurting them by charging them the 30 and the 50 and the 100 and the 500% interest, because he's so eager, he's so lustful for money, he doesn't care that he's hurting anybody on his way to so-called success. He's just like a snake. And unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, the Klipa of Ephron is still here in this world today. It's called merchant cash advance. It's called lending money with interest. Now, the curse of being such a person that's over eager for success is not just what we said. But b'siyata d'ishmaya, we saw a chidush that shows how much the impact is in this world, needless to say in the next world. You see, Rabotai, anyone that knows Hebrew knows that the loss, chaser, in the verse that says that he's someone that's overeager for wealth, has evil eye, and he doesn't realize that loss will come upon him. That loss is called chaser, cheser. Chet, samet, samech, resh. Next to it, you'll see a word that looks almost the same. If you don't pay attention, it actually looks exactly the same. But there's one small difference. See, this letter over here looks like this letter over here. It looks like the resh, but this is actually a dalit. It has a little chupchik, a little extra dash over here on the side. And this spells chesed, kindness. What does this have to do? Okay, so they look alike. What's the big deal? No. You see, Rabotai, the book of Proverbs, Shlomo HaMelech, says, when you are over eager for money, it causes you to have a curse upon you. Whatever success you have will be literally failure because it'll be cursed. The winnings, the profits will end up going to lawsuits, doctors, problems. You'll never enjoy it. Like one particular person that came to me for help recently worked their entire life, got together a few $1,000,000. But now they're in a lawsuit with their own children because the children stole all the money. Literally, a nightmare of all nightmares. This person is going to spend the rest of their life fighting their own kids to get back the money they worked for their whole life, meaning that they will not even have the opportunity to enjoy the money they slaved for their whole life. Because Hashem says, when you serve money as your God, instead of me, that even the joy you thought you're going to get, you're not going to get. So when a person is overeager for money, for sure they're going to have a loss. And they don't realize it. That's why they continue with this attitude. But what they don't realize is if they just change a little bit, instead of being overeager for money, they should be overeager to do good with whatever blessings Hashem gave them. Then they'll turn this chaser into chesed. Now what's the difference then? You see, once you have chesed, the verse changes. Now, it becomes not Shlomo HaMelech's verse. It becomes his father's verse. David HaMelech. David HaMelech in Tehillim, in Psalm number 32, verse 10. David HaMelech says, Aboteach be'Hashem chesed yesovevenu. Someone that has bitachon in Hashem, chesed will surround him. Meaning, you don't need to be overeager to make millions, to be so successful. If Hashem wants to give it to you, He'll give it to you. Even with your one job, even with your whatever ability. If He wants you to be successful, He'll make you successful. But make sure to serve Him and not yourself. Because if you're overeager for money and disregard the fact that this causes you to have horrible character traits, you're spiteful, you're jealous, you're looking at everybody else's stuff constantly with envy. You care less about the damage you cause society, including your own family and friends and co-workers and employees. You're losing. But if you change that chesed, if you change that attitude into chesed, you just add a little tiny line, and you have some bitachon in your life, then guess what? Hashem says, Abotech be'Hashem, someone that has confidence in me that I'm the one that provides for them success or failure, life or death, winning or losing. I'm the one that decides the results, not you, not your efforts. And someone that has confidence in me, then guess what? Chesed yesovevenu, then I will surround him with kindness. His entire world will change. Not just he will change himself, she will change herself. But the world will look at them differently. Oh, you see that guy? Yeah, he's a big Baal Chesed. Why, he's a millionaire? No, not really, but he's just constantly looking for ways to help people. Wow. We see that guy, you should do business with him. Why, he's got a lot of money? No, but he's just an honest guy. Oh, okay, I'll do business with him. I'm looking for somebody honest. You see that guy? Yeah, you should hire him. Why, he's a genius? I don't know if he's necessarily a genius, but he's a really, really hard worker. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I like that kind of. Guess what? Opportunities will open for you that don't exist if you abandon this over-eagerness for money and you start doing chesed. If you start having bitachon. When somebody ignores the Torah, they can literally go and grow up in a yeshiva, learning Torah. But if they don't fix their character traits, if they don't censor their overeagerness for money, they could easily become the front of this generation and be in a merchant cash advance business, lending people in their own community money with interest on impossible to pay back. They'll lend money to their own family members with interest that they came back. They literally are giving predatory loans to friends, family, co-workers, people in the community, people that have kids, people that have sick people in their house, people that are taking care of all types of problems, people that are even helping society. But they don't care. They'll give them a predatory loan. They'll give them a predatory product because of their over-eagerness for money. But the problem is not just with the merchant cash advance business. The problem is in every business that is an absent of Torah. If you're in a real estate business and you're over-eager for money, you'll find ways to bend the truth just to make the transaction, even if that means you're hurting your own client. If you're over-eager for money, you'll find ways to lie to your patient, even if that means that patient will remain sick for the rest of their life, just so you don't get sued. If you're over-eager for money, you're literally going to call the enemy of your client to make a settlement just because it makes you quicker money, even though it's not for the best interest of your client. If you're over-eager for money, you'll simply do anything. But in the end, you'll only lose. On the other hand, if you abandon the teachings of Ephron and you adopt the teachings of Avraham Avinu, who did endless chesed, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, then chesed, kindness, will surround you. Chesed will come to you. Whether you're looking for a job or looking for a contract for $1 million, whether you're looking for a new idea or a new wife, kindness will surround you. So you see, Rabotai, the conclusion of it all is that business is not easy. But this doesn't mean that we should stop doing business because the seller is evil. Since we see that Avraham Avinu himself completed the deal with Ephron. What this means is that we have to take these teachings to heart, literally engrave them into our minds, not just for today or for this week, but for our lives. That when we are doing business, whether we're selling a building or a house or a car, or our services, or our abilities, or our time, don't be a Ephron. Because in the end, he lost. Be Avraham, who is chesed. He's the winner in the story. BeEzrat HaShem, this will give each and every one of us the wherewithal, the tools, and the extra push to be honest without worrying about losing ever. To be kind and charitable without worrying about losing. Because if you believe that Hashem runs the world like we do, then no one ever loses by doing the will of Hashem. With that being said, now you guys can ask some questions, and BeEzrat HaShem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Okay. A Jew as a malach that teaches him Torah in his mother's stomach. What about a convert? Well, a convert gets a new soul when they convert. So that soul is coming from a place that is unlike your day-to-day life. So certainly that soul is not coming empty-handed. The new soul is a Jewish soul that was at Mount Sinai. Do you think that Judaism is the religion of peace? Judaism is the religion of truth. And sometimes war is necessary, while other times peace is the right way. Depends. What the Torah says is it's the word of God. Sometimes he commands us to go to war, either to defend ourselves against the enemies like the evil Palestinians and terrorists and things of that nature. And sometimes he commands us not to go to war. So it depends. So if you think that peace is simply letting people terrorize you, kill you, and you just say thank you very much, then perhaps you should go into a minefield and play with, throw rocks at them just to see what happens. Is the Zohar really the work of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? Yes, absolutely. The Chachmei Israel investigated the Zohar Kadosh and certainly concluded that the Zohar Kadosh is from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's a holy book. It has an extraordinary amount of wisdom. And the only people that go against it today are people that never read the whole thing. They read excerpts. They read something on the internet. They never actually studied the Zohar, because anyone that studies the Zohar knows that there's so much wisdom in there. It's so profound, it's so extraordinary that you're only left with admiration for the Zohar, not questions for the Zohar about its authenticity. Did God command you to terrorize the Palestinians? In fact, actually, in the book of Joshua, which even the people of Islam believe in, God commands us to go to the land of Israel and remove all of the people that live there, meaning that Israel belongs only to the Jews, no one else. So, and anyone that was not willing to leave, then we were obligated to go to war with them. So in fact, this is actually in the Torah. Now, the situation today is that you have many Palestinians that live in Israel, get the benefits of the country, the hospitals, the education, the different things that they have that are not available to them anywhere else. But yet, instead of going to work, they decide one day that they're going to kill their coworkers, they're going to kill civilians, they're going to kill a bunch of different people. So, people like that, not only they don't have the right to live among us. In reality, if they have even a belief in doing such things to people that are providing them good, they don't have a right to exist. So, because God told us, someone that tries to kill you, kill them first. This is what the Torah says. If you disagree with the Torah, then that's your problem. You'll have to solve that problem once you're in Gehenom and HaShem is dealing with you, and He'll explain to you every verse. Who is Jesus? Jesus is a Jew that became a heretic and caused more damage to the Jewish people than any other individual in the history of mankind. He was a heretic that used the Torah that he learned to convince people that he is God, that he is an idol, and to serve him, that they no longer needed to observe the Shabbat, just like it says in the New Testament where he says he is bigger than the Shabbat. and Jesus, who came from a prostitute that committed adultery, literally multiple crimes for the from the same person, was a wicked person that is suffering in Gehenom. And I have several lectures discussing different sources throughout history that talk about who he is and why he is such a wicked person. Unfortunately, today, many people that are unaware of the truth believe he is God. Now they say, no, he is Messiah. Yeah, but your definition of Messiah is divine. No, he's the Son of God. Yeah, but your definition of Son of God is that he's part of three, the Trinity. It's a form of idolatry. And reality is that the Torah itself says that God is not a man. Multiple times. So to say that God comes in human form is a form of heresy, form of idolatry, form of stupidity. Now, people that believe it just simply because they don't know anything else, we feel bad for them. So anytime they come to us, we try to educate them. We send them information, to watch lectures and videos and read books and so on, so they can actually realize that they are going in the wrong path. But people that try to missionize to us and try to convince us to believe in their false testament, quickly find out that we're not exactly the best target audience, because not only are we not going to abandon the truth of God and the Torah and go to idolatry ever, but also we know a lot more about the truth and in fact even the lies than the people do, and show them clear verses in the Torah that prove that the New Testament and anyone that follows it is following idolatry, that prove verses even in the New Testament that show is a man-made false document that is full of hypocrisy and contradictions that do not make any sense. And that's the reason why you're really never going to find two Christians that have the same belief. Everyone has created their own version of it. You know, they all want to believe in that one Savior that recuses them from any obligation, but how and who and when and when, every one of them is different than the other. So again, we try to help those that are open to the truth, and we reject those that are not only not open to the truth, but are actually trying to preach their idolatry to people that that are uninformed. When should we turn down money like Avraham did when he didn't take the money from the king of Sodom? Can you give an example? Sure. The money that you can make, as long as it's money that's not causing damage to people, that's not unethical, that's not illegal, then there's no problem making money. But as far as if you're going to have to violate the law, whether it's the law of the Torah or the law of the land, or you have to hurt people, then certainly that kind of money is not good money. That money you should reject. And I've told a story before in the past. I've had many tests over the years, Baruch HaShem. One of them was, I've had many tests with money and so on. When I was in the business world, and I was maybe this time probably 23 years old, and I just made my first $1 million, and I was doing well. And all of a sudden, one of the people in my office said, "Listen, my friend is calling you. He has a company. He wants you to come work for them." I said, "Okay, fine. Call. I'm not really looking to leave, but fine." Anyway, the guy calls me, and he's like, "Listen, I heard about you. You're this, you're that, you're this," all types of, F1 types of compliments. And he said, "Listen, I'll give you $7.2 million in cash to come work for us. Now, this was an offer that it didn't need a genius to realize that this was a lot more than what I had, but also a lot more than what I was worth at the time. And of course, I realized there's a catch. I said, okay, so what's the catch? No catch. Just come work for us, and well, I'll give you the money. If you want it, I can give it to you in a wire. I can give you a check, or if you want, I can even give you a suitcase full of money. Whatever you want. Just come and transfer your business, your clients over here. You got the money. And if you want, you could even make another $7 million. I said, okay, fine. What do I, once I go over there, can I continue doing everything that I'm doing now? It's like, well, more or less. So what do you mean more or less? Is it more or is it less? I said, well, over here, I do the research on behalf of my clients to find out what's the best investment. Once I find the investment, I choose what to buy, if the client agrees, and that's it. No one tells me good, no good, not allowed, none of the coworkers, none of the managers, not a supervisor. My clients trust me, and as long as everything I'm doing is legal, there's no problem. Can I do that over there? He's like, well, sort of. I said, well, what do you mean? So, well, you could buy, but it'll have to be part of our list of stocks. And that's when I realized very quickly this is a scam. So, okay, just know what? Give me an example of one of your things. And I realized he gave me a couple of symbols. I realized this is a bucket shop. This is a place that pushes all types of shell companies, fake companies, scams, and so on, in order to simply transfer the money from the clients to their pockets. They give the brokers huge amount of money in order to entice them to simply sell out their clients. But of course, the bosses, the owners, make a whole lot more. So if you made 7 million, the boss made 70. But the point is that it was a lot of money, but it didn't take me more than 3 seconds to tell the guy, go fly a kite. No money in the world is going to cause me to lie to people, to cheat people, to steal from people. You called up the wrong guy. So an average person that gets an offer of $7 million will think about it at the very least. Many times they would take it. And unfortunately, many people take these types of offers, if not in the investment business, in the real estate business, in legal business, and merchant cash business, all types of, unfortunately, under the table types of offers that everyone knows from day one is corrupt. Everyone knows. But the money blinds even the wise. Even the wise get blinded by the bribes. So if a person wants to have real success in their life that lasts, they always have to be honest. They all have to be in accordance with what Torah says. And there's no doubt in my mind that you will have everything that you will need in life and more. But if your making money means you have to violate the law of the Torah, law of the land, ethical laws, things of that nature, that is money you have to say no to. And that's also why Avraham Avinu said no to the king of Sodom, because the king of Sodom was a wicked person. And Avraham Avinu knew that he doesn't want to deal with such people that pretty much got their money in unethical ways, got their money in illegal ways, got their money in horrible ways. He doesn't want any share of that. He says, if Hashem is going to bless me, he'll bless me from a kosher source. And that's why Hashem eventually made Avraham Avinu one of the richest men in the world. You don't ever lose by going in the path of Hashem. At what point in the meal did Avraham realize that the guests were angels? When they told him. Is gambling bad money? Yes. According to the Chachamim, gambling is considered stealing. Because when you gamble, the losing party, assuming you're gambling to win, so the losing party only played the game because they also assumed that they're going to win. So when they lost to you, they're giving you the money, not because they want to give you the money, but rather because the rules that you have force them to give you the money. This is in essence considered as if you're taking the money against their will. It's considered a form of stealing according to many sages, most sages. Furthermore, places of gambling are considered moshav letzim, which is a place of scorn. All types of horrible things happen in places of gambling. That's the second thing. Third thing is a person that gambles quickly becomes addicted and could end up either abandoning their normal job or ruining their normal job and their normal life because they'll use everything that they have to pay for their gambling losses. So gambling does not help anybody. Even those, let's say the casinos or the house or whatever it is, in the end they all lose. Everybody loses in gambling. The only one that wins in gambling is a Satan. That's it. Where does the convert soul go to when he gets a new soul? It doesn't go anywhere. It stays exactly where it was. It's just that the convert soul that they had originally is much smaller than the Jewish soul that they're going to get. So, for example, if you have let's say a bucket of water, and that water may be the cleanest water, best water, beautiful water, tastiest water, fantastic. But if I add a river of water, of clean, pure water on top of that water, then certainly that little bucket of water becomes insignificant in comparison to the new source of water that I added. And the same concept with the new Jewish soul that the convert gets. That yes, the original soul is still there, but it's so small in comparison to the new Jewish soul that they just acquired through conversion, that it's the old one becomes inconsequential. They're still the same person as far as biologically. They're still the same person. They obviously remember who they are, but as far as the soul itself, some spiritual part of them, their entire spiritual status changed. Number one. Number two, the Chatam Sofer also says that even their physical parts of their body will change over time as well. And I've actually witnessed multiple times different people that we've helped convert over the years where literally they not only change behavior and demeanor and so on after conversion, but literally they physically they actually changed. So Jews have a different soul. Yes, Jews have a different soul than non-Jews. Absolutely. Why did many people die for Jesus if he's a fraud? Many people die for a lot of stupid reasons. That doesn't mean that the stupid reason is true. Some people, worshipped a statues. Some people, there's worshipped, money. Some people, people do all types of foolish things. That's just because they're willing to die for it doesn't mean it's true. There was people that committed mass suicides just in recent years. Groups of people, hundreds and hundreds of people committed suicide because they believed that their leader was God. Now, obviously, everyone realized this was one big scam. The whole thing. So does that mean that the scam becomes real because they died for it? No. It means that they got scammed. It means that they got fooled and they lost their lives for it. Is God omnipotent, or do we have free will? God is omnipresent and He's omnipotent, and we have the choice, not free choice. What is the difference between choice and free choice? It's a couple of things. Number one, free choice means you can do whatever you want freely without any consequences. That is not true. Because God specifically says in every single page in the Torah that there are consequences for violating His Torah. And therefore, if a person obeys the Torah, follows the Torah, then they will be rewarded. If they violate the Torah, they will be punished. So we do have choice to do whatever we want, but there is a consequence for it. Now, in relation to your question about whether God is omnipotent, meaning whether God knows the future or not, and how it's connected to whether we have free choice or not, the two do not negate each other. They don't contradict each other. And I'll explain. You see, you're assuming that if God knows the future, then therefore He chooses the future. But that's not how it works. If I, let's say, for example, took a piece of paper and I wrote down on a piece of paper, without you seeing, exactly what you're going to do every single day for the next week. And then I folded the piece of paper, I put it in an envelope, and we gave it to someone else to put it into a safe where only you have access to that safe. No one else has the key. Now, you don't know what's in that paper. There's no magic trick to you. Simply, I wrote everything in front of you. You just don't know what's there. And I put it in a safe. Now, you went about your week, and you did whatever you did. You went to work. You went to the supermarket. You went to the bathroom. You went to get a sandwich. You went to watch something on the internet, perhaps one of my other lectures. You went to do whatever it is that you do every single day for that whole week. At the end of the week, you come back, we meet back at where the safe is. You bring your key. No one else has the key. You open the safe. You take out the envelope. It's exactly as it was when we put it in there. You open the envelope, you open up the paper, and you see that what I wrote is exactly every single thing that you did during that week. Now, did my knowledge of everything that you did during that week impact your choice? No, you still did whatever you wanted to do. The same concept with HaShem, with God. He knows all of the possibilities, all of the choices. Past, present, and future is all the same to Him. He doesn't have past, present, and future. Everything is the same to Him. But He does not influence your choice. You still make your choice. You can still choose to go against Him, or you can go and serve Him. You can go to work tomorrow, or you can go to the beach, or you can sleep all day. You can be a righteous person, or you can be a wicked. The fact that He knows all of the different possibilities does not impact your choice. The only thing that you have to be worried about is not what He knows about the future, but rather what you know about His law, because that's going to affect your life in this world and eternally. Because the more you know about what He expects of you, and what He obligates you to do, and what He obligates you to stay away from, the more inclined you are going to be to follow what He says. And as a result of following what He says, you'll have a good life in this world and a good eternal life. But if you ignore His law, if you're oblivious of His law, if you're ignorant of His law, or you simply reject it, even with knowledge, then you end up putting yourself in a path of destruction. Why? You'll end up having a miserable life here, and certainly a punishment that will never end after this life ends. And that was your choice. You chose to ignore His law, reject His law, and live whatever life you wanted. And you suffered the consequences for it. The fact that He knew that that's one of the choices you have did not alter your choice. You chose, you paid. Same concept on the other way. If you chose the right way, You chose to follow the Torah. You chose to follow the truth. And guess what? That was one of the choices that was possible for you. And he rewards you for it. That's why he brought you to the world. He wants you to win. He gives you all of the possibilities to win. He's not going to win the game for you, because that defeats the purpose of the game, that defeats the purpose of life. But he gives you all the possibilities to win. If you win life by following the Torah, then he can give you the greatest reward that you can possibly imagine, multiplied by infinity, and that's just the first second. And that was your choice, and that's why you deserve it. If he chooses for you, then there's no reason for you to ever get rewarded. Why would he reward you if he chooses for you? Why would he reward you if you have no choice? Why would he punish you if you have no choice? And that's actually what the Rambam writes. In Ilchot Yesodei Torah, there's a whole section about this. It's also in Shmona Prakim that the Rambam writes, that talks about free choice, where in general, what I just explained is it. There's obviously more if you want to get deeper into it, but the ultimate knowledge of free choice is incomprehensible to mankind, because we do not have any concept of what timelessness means, of what true kindness is. We don't have any understanding of what godliness is. We understand what the Torah tells us. We understand how he described himself, and we understand in the human form. But our main responsibility is to know what he commands us to do, commands us to stay away from, and do what we are supposed to do. And if we fail, then pick ourselves back up and try again until we succeed. What are we talking about? We're talking about life and its purpose. Okay. Can you tell me the brother of Moses? Yes, Moses had 3 brothers. The main brother that you're familiar with, and most people are familiar with, is Aaron. Aaron HaKohen. He also had a sister named Miriam. But he had 2 stepbrothers too. Eldad and Medad. There were 2 prophets. They're also in the Torah. So you're saying that you get a new soul of Yehudim. Where does it speak of that in Scripture? Of getting a new soul? Well, in the beginning, HaShem put a soul inside Adam HaRishon. Do you view non-Jews as animals? No, not necessarily, depending on their behavior. Some Jews and non-Jews act like animals, and some Jews and non-Jews act like humans. Depends on the person's behavior. Can't just generalize everyone. There's some righteous people and there's some wicked people. Some righteous people are Jewish. Some righteous people are not Jewish. Some wicked people are Jewish, unfortunately, and some wicked people are not Jewish. Simple. You can't just generalize and say, this entire group of people is bad. Only a moron would do that. Is it possible to be a Jewish convert and socially anxious at the same time? Yes, you're just going to have a very difficult life, regardless of whether you're Jewish or not, by being socially anxious, but hopefully you'll get over that over time. Why do Jewish people not pray for non-Jewish people? Do you consider non-Jews your brothers? Although the non-Jews are not our brothers, we Jewish people are each other's brothers, you're wrong about Jews not praying for non-Jews. In fact, we have an entire holiday, the holiday of Sukkot, where at the time of the Bet HaMikdash, for 7 days, the Jewish people will bring sacrifices to the Bet HaMikdash for the benefit of the non-Jews. In fact, our Talmud teaches that if the non-Jews knew how much we pray for them at the Bet HaMikdash, they would have sent their armies to the Bet HaMikdash, and instead of destroying it like they did twice, they would have actually sent their armies to protect the Jewish people in the Bet HaMikdash. So, in fact, it's not only wrong what you're saying, it's wrong like with a factor of 1,000,000. Now, that doesn't mean that we pray for every non-Jew. If the non-Jew is an enemy of the Jews, we certainly don't pray for him. But if the non-Jew is a decent human being that supports the Jews, helps the Jews, likes the Jews, or at the very least is not anti-Semite, then certainly there's no problem. In fact, there is some of the people that I mentioned their names in the beginning of the lecture, that the merit of this lecture and their success and gave them blessings, some of the names that I read were people that were not Jewish. So it's the lecture itself, if you actually watch from the beginning, you would have seen that you're wrong. Who protects the Jews? Was it not the Muslims, unlike the Romans, that destroyed them? My friend, you should read history outside of the fake books they provide you at the mosque. And if you read history, you'll see that the Muslims murdered countless Jews over the years. In fact, just in the last 100 years, there's been countless pogroms that came from the Arabs against the Jews. In the last 1400 years since the creation of Islam, there's been endless amount of pogroms, forced conversions, massacres of Jews. Even Muhammad himself murdered a bunch of Jews when they didn't want to listen to him and adopt his fake religion. It's in your books, so I'm not really sure who told you that the Muslims are the protectors of the Jews, but if you want to say that there were times where the relationship between the Jews and the Muslims was somewhat peaceful, certainly there is. If you want to say that there were some Muslims that were really good people that were supportive of the Jews, no problem, that's true too. But to say that the Muslims protected the Jews is completely false. There's simply, there's it's just so far from the truth, but I don't blame you for it. You're just uninformed, you're ignorant of the reality. So that's why I say, read books and information that is not coming from a biased source. And you'll see what the actual history really is, and in comparison to what you've been told. Who did God establish his everlasting covenant with? With the Jewish people. Please don't block me without answering my question. What does the Talmud say about Jesus? I'm not going to block you, number one, because it's just a waste of time. Number two, there's no need to block you because I have entire lectures that you can go on YouTube and watch for free on my channel that discuss Jesus and bring sources from the Talmud that showed that he is a wicked person. He went against God. He went against the Jewish people. He caused more harm to the Jewish people than anybody else in history. If you want to know what the Talmud says about him being now, he's in Gehenom. He's in boiling feces with the rest of the wicked people. So as far as if you want more, go watch those lectures. You could go to my channel, type in the keywords either Jesus or Yeshua, and you'll see there's several long lectures full of sources. You could look up every one of those sources, different books, and see that exactly what I say is what's written in there. And that's it. There's nothing new. Okay. Let's see. I have a couple of questions that were sent to me by cute little kids. So I'm going to read you guys the questions. This one. Why did HaShem make everything for men? It's a great question. Why did HaShem make? So the sages teach us that HaShem is the ultimate good. And he has no beginning. He has no end. There's nothing that we can give him. He is the only one that gives. And but the good, the definition of good is something that creates good. And because he is good, he created good. Now, when he created the souls, in essence, are an image of God, meaning they're also good. And they were enjoying the pleasure of all the good that he would give them. But since they are good, they wanted to produce good. But they can't produce good to help God. They can't add anything to him, which caused them to suffer that they cannot earn their spot. So therefore the souls asked for God to give them a way to, in essence, pay their dues, to deserve whatever good they have. In essence, we asked to come to this world, to be created. God created man with obstacles, with a law that you can fulfill or you, God forbid, can ignore. Why? Because if we fulfill the law of the Torah, then the soul goes back up to heaven and now gets a reward of eternal good without suffering that it doesn't deserve it, because it obviously paid its dues. On the other end, if a soul fails, then it gets punished. So the reason why Hashem made everything for us is in order to give us an opportunity to earn the good that he's giving us. And one great example that I can give you that will show you how this is better, because many people say, well, if you want to give us good, why don't you just give it good? I just explained. The souls did not enjoy good for free. What is this like? Imagine somebody gave you a toy. Now the toy is a fun toy. It's a little car. You play with it. Vroom, 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 vroom. And after a little while, you get bored of it. You play with something else. Why? Because you don't have any connection to this toy. Somebody just gave it to you. And that's it. You're finished. As soon as you're bored with the toy, that's it. But what if I told you that if you read the entire parasha this week, or perhaps if you read the entire book of Bereshit, Genesis, over the next week or 2 weeks, I'm going to give you a reward. I'm going to buy you a toy. Now, of course, you're going to say, wait, it's really hard. For me, I'm only 7 years old, 8 years old. For me to read the entire book of Genesis, it's hard. It's going to take me a lot of time. Exactly. That's why there's a reward at the end. And guess what? If you do that, and you work really hard, and every day you're putting in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, just to get closer and closer to the end. And at the end of those couple of weeks, you finally get to the end. And you finish. and you achieve what you set out for, that in itself gives you amazing pleasure because you won. But now, when I give you that toy, even if that toy is a car that you wanted, just like the other car that somebody else gave you, that car is now special. It's not the same car, even though it looks exactly the same. It has the same wheels, the same color, same everything. But that car is not the same. Why? Because that car you worked hard for. That car, that toy that you got is special because it's connected to hard work. So even if that car breaks one of its pieces, you're still going to keep it. Even if that car gets lost, you're going to do everything you can to find it. Even if somebody's willing to give you money for it, you're not going to want to sell. Why? Because it's a special car for you, because you worked hard for it. And the same concept with the reward that HaShem wants to give us. He wants to give us an amazing reward. And if we earn it, we will enjoy it. And therefore HaShem created everything in this world in order to give us an opportunity to serve Him, follow His Torah, and glorify His name through His creation. So instead of looking at the sky and just thinking about the weather, a person can look at the sky and admire in awe the glory of God. Instead of somebody looking at the clouds and being upset that it's about to rain, a person can be in awe and appreciation of how HaShem feeds the world with these little puffs and pillows of air that somehow carry water. And that water is as clean as possibly can be, even though the way that the water came there, it came from sometimes dirty places, sometimes salt water, sometimes a sewer water, all types of water evaporated, and now it comes back down as the cleanest water that exists. So a person looks at a cloud and realizes, wow, that water now is going to allow a tree to grow, an apple to grow, someone to satiate themselves as a result of that apple that came from that drop of water. Someone is going to be able to give birth as a result of that water. Someone is going to be able to finance their mortgage as a result of that water. Someone's going to be able to live as a result of that water. When a person goes outside and he looks at the birds, they could either say, oh, well, these birds, they make a lot of noise. They woke me up today. Or they could say, you know what? Wow, look how much Hashem loves us. And He made so many different types of birds. And each bird has different colors and different features. He could have easily just made one bird. And all of them look the same. All of them gray. All of them white. All of them black. And that's it. But no. He made each one of them special. Each animal special. Each flower special. Everyone is unique. This one is yellow. This one's with stripes. This one is blue. This one is purple. This one has big wings, small wings. This one flies fast. This one chirps. This one looks like some painting. Everything is special. Look how amazing God is. He created all these beautiful things. For what? For Him? No, He doesn't benefit out of it. So for who was it? For us. For us to appreciate His glory. Some of the things are for us to eat. Some of the things are for us to appreciate. Some of the things are for us to use, to make things out of. But look, He created it all for us. So when a person is such a ungrateful person that they not glorify God's name every single day and thank Him every single day and serve Him every single day, that means that they're taking the entire creation for granted, assuming that everything just came to be by itself, by some explosion or some accident. And those types of people live the most miserable lives and have the most miserable ends. So the reason why Hashem created everything is in order for us to have endless reasons to connect to Him. And endless reasons to appreciate Him and serve Him, in order for us to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to fulfill His Torah. When we do that, we win. What is the story of Achitophel? Achitophel was a extraordinary Torah scholar that lived at the time of King David. He was actually the father of Bathsheba, the wife of David HaMelech. He was an extraordinary Torah scholar that pretended to be a friend of King David, pretended to be an advisor to King David, but in reality he was jealous of King David and was trying to destroy him. And despite his Torah scholarship and his knowledge, he had a very big ego. He was an arrogant, despicable person that only did things in order to serve his own good, and ultimately he advised King David's son, Avshalom, to go against King David, to steal his wives, to steal his money, to steal his kinghood, because his plan was for Avshalom to kill King David, and then to tell all of the people that Avshalom is bad, and therefore he should be king. Meaning he didn't want Avshalom to be king, but he knew that he could not defeat King David by himself, so he wanted Avshalom to kill King David, and then defeat Avshalom himself. What ended up happening is that after his plan was foiled, Avshalom was killed, and Achitophel killed himself by hanging himself. And the Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra says that Avshalom only left 3 things in this world to his children. One, he told them, don't be a cause of debate, meaning don't be like me, that cause a machloket, cause problems between people. Number 2, don't go against the house of Yehuda. Don't go against the house of Yehuda, meaning don't go against King David. Why? Because HaShem will fight for them and never give up on them. They're always going to win against you. And 3, he told them that if it's a good weather on the 2nd day of Shavuot, that's when you should grow your crops, meaning a way to make money. And so many, and even that, the sages say, okay, but what is the definition of good weather? And that he didn't leave. Meaning, in so many words, Avshalom died, and with that, all of Achitophel's plans, dreams, and ambitions died with it. And Achitophel was one of the greatest Torah scholars of his time, but he was a wicked person. He was a arrogant person. In fact, the Gemara in Masechet Chagah says that Achitophel was the Gedol Hador that knew over 300 chidushim, just off of the letter Lamed, just on the letter Lamed. Why is the Lamed that way? I don't even know what you could possibly think. What 300 insights, what one insight you could have on just one letter in the Hebrew alphabet, but literally his genius was beyond comprehension. But if your Torah scholarship does not lead you to fix your character flaws, then the Torah scholarship is worthless. And that's why the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin Perek Chelek says that Achitophel has no share of the world to come. So Achitophel had the opportunity to be the biggest rabbi in the world, and instead he became the biggest wicked man in the world. Last question from the kids. No, I have 2 more actually. Why does Sefer Bereshit say Be'ibar'am with the small hey? Very good. The Chachamim say Be'ibar'am that small hey stands for Avraham Avinu, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the entire world for the sake and the merit of Avraham Avinu. And that's the symbolic of it. 2, who was the wisest tzaddik? Well, the greatest wisdom is said that that Shlomo HaMelech was the wisest of men. But the Gemara says, yes, but Moshe Rabbeinu was wiser than him. It's like, yeah, but doesn't it say that Shlomo HaMelech was the wisest man? Yes. There's no contradiction though. So how could there not be a contradiction? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was not considered among the category of men. He was considered like half man, half angel. He was not considered like a regular person. His wisdom was superior to all. His wisdom was nothing in comparison to anybody else. But everybody else after that, Shlomo Melech certainly was the wisest man of all. Great questions from the young tzaddikim. Let's see. Bitcoin is 97,000. And why is that a question? I don't really know. But since you already mentioned Bitcoin, anyone that wants to donate now has a new ability to donate to our organization to support our efforts by donating cryptocurrency. You can go to our website, BeEzrat.org, and over there you'll have options either to donate to a credit card normally or PayPal, or you have actually the ability to donate cryptocurrency like some people have started doing recently. So if you want to donate your one crypto coin, one Bitcoin, we'd be more than grateful to your support. I'm assuming that's the reason why you're bringing up why that Bitcoin is 97,000, because you want to send us at least one of them. But if you want to send more, you could also send more. Which, by the way, we don't keep. The whatever cryptocurrency you send gets automatically sold. We're not in the investment business. Whatever people donate, we use it to help people learn Torah, people eat, people get closer to HaShem. Can a rabbi teach Judaism to a person who is not Jewish? Can I learn Judaism at a synagogue being not Jewish? Okay. So a rabbi that has the obligation to, if he's teaching, to teach Jews. If there are no Jews for him to teach, and the only possible option is for him to teach a non-Jew, then he can teach a non-Jew. But if the non-Jew obviously has the intentions of converting. But if he has other Jews that are willing to learn from him, then he's obligated to go teach the Jews. Now, if the rabbi is teaching, like what I'm doing right now, teaching online, then anyone is welcome to watch, learn, and hopefully apply these things to their life, whether they're Jews or Gentiles. Whatever is relevant to you, apply to your life. Whatever is not relevant to you, then simply ignore. But anyone is welcome to watch these lectures. But as far as for a rabbi to do, let's say, like a one-on-one, or even just to have a group of non-Jews that they're teaching, they're only allowed to do such a thing if there are no Jews for them to teach. Which means that, unfortunately, some of these rabbis that have made it their business to only teach non-Jews, they're making a mistake according to the Torah. Now, as far as if you're allowed to go to a synagogue and learn Torah, are you allowed? Yes. Are the synagogues going to allow it? Most likely no. Because number one, they're afraid that you're a missionary, and therefore they wouldn't want it. Number two, the place is paid for and set for helping the Jewish people. So it's not necessarily a public arena where, like a public park where just anybody can just go there just because they want to come join them. But if you're interested in learning Torah and you obviously want to convert to Judaism, then by all means go through a conversion, move to a Jewish community, develop a relationship with one of the rabbis over there, see if they have some type of course, some type of study session that for converts, and at the synagogue or online or wherever it is, and you'll have to go through the motion until you complete your conversion. There's, Baruch Hashem, thank God, many people that used to be non-Jews that we've helped them convert to Judaism, and many of them that we've guided and still continue to guide, even if they live in different parts of the world. We just actually had one of our students in Africa, in South Africa, just complete his conversion and get married, Baruch Hashem, to a righteous Jew. Just in the last couple of weeks, we had a couple of converts complete their conversion in different parts of the world in the last couple of months. So Baruch Hashem, there's many people that are converting to Judaism if they're serious about it and they're dedicated, and they're going to succeed at one point. It's not a 1, 2, 3 system. It's not like Christianity or Islam where 1, 2, 3, they throw some dirty water on you and you become whatever their religion is. No, in Judaism, there are two main things that are required for somebody to convert. Number one is a certain amount of knowledge that's required in order for you to know how to live like a Jewish life, which, again, to acquire that knowledge takes time. And number two, to make the necessary changes to your lifestyle and live a Jewish life. One of the things necessary is for you to live in a Jewish community. Among other things, eating kosher food, being modest, and so on. So there's on our website, BeEzratHashem.org, which is BeEzratHashem.org. Over there is a tab that you can find ebooks, free ebooks. One of the free ebooks is called Conversion Guide. One of them is called Conversion Guide. You can download that for free. That's an interactive guide that has a bunch of lectures and different write-ups that's going to guide you of how to convert, what to learn, how to learn it, what you need to know, which books to buy, and all of the different things you need to know for the sake of conversion. And this is something you could do. You could go to the website, download it for free, and then apply it to your life. And as HaShem, you succeed. And one day you'll tell me that, listen, I watched this lecture of yours on YouTube or on TikTok or on Facebook or wherever else, and it inspired me, like countless other people, to convert to Judaism, and now I'm Jewish, and that would be fantastic news. What is the Tanya and what is the Tanya, and are its teachings only for Chabad? Is it similar to the Torah? Okay, so the Tanya was one of the sages that lived a few hundred years ago, and Rabbi Zalman of Liadi was his real name, and the Tanya was the book that he wrote. In this book, taught different character developments and different things that a person has to do in order to serve Hashem at the highest level, in Chassidut, in Judaism, according to the teachings of not just the Tanya, but also the Baal Shem Tov. Now, this is not the entire Torah. This is one part of the Torah. The Torah is wider than the ocean. There are literally millions and millions of books, and that's not even the entire Torah. But this certainly is a very important teachings of the Torah, the teachings of Chassidut. And no, it's not only for Chabad. Many different types of Jews study the Tanya, but one thing that all Torah scholars, meaning people that are experts in Torah, people that spend their life learning Torah, will tell you is that learning the Tanya is not for everyone. Meaning, anyone that wants to learn it can learn it, it's allowed, but just because something is allowed doesn't mean you should do it. And the reason why is because many of the teachings within the Tanya are very, very high-end, very elevated teachings that are not relevant to the current knowledge base that the average person has. It's like for a person learning rocket science without even knowing what algebra is. So yeah, he could listen to the rocket scientist explain all of the different things that he's doing, but he's not going to understand anything because he doesn't have the basic foundation. Now, once in a while, he may understand a word that the rocket scientist is saying because the rocket scientist said yes, so he understands the word yes. And he said two, and he understands what number two is. And he says apple, and he's going to understand apple, but then he realized that's because the rocket scientist is eating an apple, and he had two apples, so he gave it to somebody else. And the guy said yes. But in reality, if he would have known algebra, then he would have had some basic foundation, still not enough to learn rocket science, but at the very least to understand that he does not belong in a rocket science class. So, same concept with the Tanya. The more Torah a person learns, that's the foundation of the Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses, the Talmud, the Shulchan Aruch, Musar, these are the foundations. The more a person knows the foundation, the more they realize they need to learn a whole lot more before they get to spend their time, efforts, and life learning the Tanya. Now, it doesn't mean you have to learn for 50 years before you start learning the Tanya, but the point is that if a person does not even know the basics, if a person has never even read the entire 5 books of Moses with commentary, even once, they have no business learning the Tanya. If a person hasn't finished the Shas, they have no business learning the Tanya. In fact, the Tanya would tell you that. That's why for example, another one of the great Hasidim, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, many of the people that claim to follow Rabbi Nachman of Breslov only learn the book that was written in his name. But the truth is, they don't even learn that. Why? Because if you only learn the book that was written in his name, Likutei Maharan, you'd actually eventually run into Rabbi Nachman of Breslov himself saying, before you learn this, you have to learn the Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara, the Chumash, the Tanakh, all of the foundations before you get to Likutei Maharan. Why? Because you have to learn all of the foundations. But many times people pretend like they are something that they're not. And that's not new. And it's not only among Hasidim, that's among mankind in general. So, can somebody learn the Tanya? Sure. Should they learn the Tanya? I'll have to know who the person is and what their knowledge base is before I could answer such a thing. There's no quick yes or quick no. Okay, Rabotai, I'll take maybe one question, then we're done. We're already 2.5 hours. I'm a little tired and I have a lot to do before the night is over. What do I think about Chassidut? Chassidut is great if it's real Chassidut. We have an entire series called Torah Chassidut that teaches about Chassidut and what is real Chassidut. Where can you get the series? You go to my YouTube page, and in the playlist, one of the playlists is called Torah Chassidut. It's based on the writings of Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhinsk, the Tzeitil Katan, and you'll see over there we've done, I think, something like 10 or 12 lectures in that series so far. But it's still going. רציתי לשאול, מה אתה חושב על חסידות? I just answered the question in English. Thank you for the blessings. Do you have a set date time for these lives? Yes. So the schedule usually is, I try my best, is Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time at 9 p.m. Okay, Rabotai Karim, thank you very much for learning with me. May Hashem bless each and every single one of you that came to learn, that came to support, that came to get closer to Hashem. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we succeeded to do that even a little bit. Anyone that wants to donate, to support, whether it's the Bitcoin holders that want to donate at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 50 Bitcoins, or even a quarter of a Bitcoin, or something else, or the ones that want to donate actual money, or they want to simply share the lectures. Anyone that wants to do that, you can go to our website, BeEzratHashem.org or BHTorah.org. There's different opportunities to help. Anyone that wants to get one of the boxes of books to distribute in their Jewish community will also get one of these new boxes of Yeshaya Tsar posters, like we discussed yesterday. And you can just go to the Kiruv store, kiruvstore.org, and order over there. It's free. But again, this is only for Jewish communities. Don't order if you don't have any Jews living near you and you can't get the Jews. There's no point. It's just a waste of money. And then also anyone that subscribes to becomes a paid subscriber to the AI Rabbi until tomorrow morning. I'll make sure to have somebody show me the who is and who isn't, and Be'ezrat Hashem will have somebody reach out to you and get your address so we could send you one of these really cool cups that has Be'ezrat Hashem on it, and also keeps your coffee or tea hot for a few hours. That's about it for tonight. That's about it for this week. May Hashem bless each and every one of you. Remember, the Organuz film is coming out next week, Motzei Shabbat. But until then, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will learn several times before. Thank you very much. Skuli Mitzvot. Shabbat Shalom.